Well, darling, there's only one God. Darling, there's only.
Welcome to the Dirty Bag Podcast. I'm your host, Cookie, and as always, thank you for joining me. You could be doing anything today, but you are tapping in with your girl. As a reminder, we do have the YouTube channel. If you are still set with audio, you want to get some visuals, hop in, see how your girl is doing, how she's looking, if it's giving Raggedy Ann, if it's giving Losing Isaiah, if it's giving Naomi Campbell, whatever I'm serving, you need to come check it out. So remember to subscribe, like, tell a friend to tell a friend. Today, y'all, I wasn't even gonna do this episode. I'm gonna be honest with you. So a couple of things happened this past week, and first of all, anytime our artists, actors, or anything drop major projects, we gotta address it because it's part of the culture. It's what pushes culture forward, and we have to tell our stories in whatever the form that comes in. And also in some of this art, however it comes, we have to address something that we all neglect way too often. That's our inner child. Now, y'all remember last week we was talking about them tables turning and what happens when you treat people a certain way and how things come back around, So I felt like it needed to be revisited in light of two things that dropped, two totally separate things, but so very relevant. So first, we're going to start with Creed 3. Creed 3 dropped this past week. This movie was amazing. I don't know what it is, or am I the only person that watches these type of sports fighting movies and all of a sudden you want to get in the gym and you thinking in your mind you can whoop everybody's ass and you can do what you saw in the film? No, just me? Okay. Just know I'm going to be in somebody's boxing gym soon. I did it before. I'm going to go back to it because whatever. Don't judge me because you do it too. So I went and saw the movie. We're going to get this out of the way real quick. And if my future boo taps in and listens to this, please close your ears. The entire movie, first of all, it was emotional. A beautiful story between two black men, but I cannot remember the last time I was both turned on, emotional and turned on at the same time. I'm telling y'all, the entire movie, I heard this one noise. Couldn't get it out of my head. I was trying to focus. This noise it just wouldn't go away. And it was just like, choo, choo. I promise. I'm just playing, y'all. But these two, first of all, give it up for beautiful black men. Let's start there. Give it up for beautiful, scrumptious black men. There is nothing like y'all. So, all right, let me get back. So the storyline here is that Adonis, at this point, he is retiring. He's fought his last fight. He's focusing on his family. They got this beautiful daughter. His wife is now more producing because remember the last film, she was starting to lose her hearing. But in comes a childhood friend, almost like a big brother. That's Damien. So as the movie goes on, we learn the backstory about these two. Essentially, Adonis is living the life Damien thought was his or should have been his. They were in a boys' home at some point, had a very close bond, and Damien apparently was the boxing star. He was going to be the one to beat. He was going to have an amazing career ahead of him. Hopped out the whip with the pistol, cop, and ended up, fight happened. The cop showed up, and Damien ended up serving an 18-year sentence. When he got out, he was ready to pick up where he left off. And the reason, what I want to focus on most about that film is that the relationships we have as children, and when we end up not on the same paths. Now, looking at that story, it really reminded me of the neighborhood I grew up in. It kind of reminded me of my brother. He wasn't a fighter. One of my brothers, the younger one. He wasn't a fighter, but he was somebody that was always focused. He kept his nose clean. He had a lot of, he had his group of friends, but some of them ended up not going down the right path. Now, in this film, we can't say Damien went down the wrong path, but he essentially went down for protecting Adonis, for looking out for his little brother. And he felt like, I'm coming back to get mine. So what ends up happening, just to sum it up, he kind of does some nasty things to get back in the ring. Adonis gives him a shot. And it turns real nasty real quick because he realizes he has a vendetta against him. And he's bitter about the fact that he went down and Adonis forgot about him. And essentially, Adonis didn't forget about him. It was just easier for him to move on with his life, not knowing that Damien had been reaching out to him. Whole lot to unpack with this particular story. So, what happens when someone else loses their freedom? Life doesn't stop, right? How many of us have known people that went to prison and came back out and had to adjust to a whole new world? It makes me think about different relationships and the turns they take when somebody becomes successful before someone else, or someone else never sees that, but they both had the exact same talents, the exact same skills, and they came from the exact same place. And the guilt that comes with it, because you saw that eventually with Adonis as well. Do you reach back and give opportunities to those that may have fallen short with your resources? Or do you recognize that things that are meant to happen, and you got to look out for you and yours? I think it's a very slippery slope, because throughout this film, Damien makes little jabs, like you turned in your gloves for a monkey suit, speaking about him being a businessman, and you moved out the hood. And how many of y'all have had people poke fun or, try to come at you for moving on and having a higher standard for your living and for your family and who you surround yourself with? Like, how do you deal with that when somebody's making you feel like you've lost a sense of who you are simply because you want it better for yourself? Moving out the hood is not always applauded. We all know this. Even with artists, when they move and leave the hood, people always judge them. But we've also seen what happens when you try to go back. So when is it okay to forget where you came from? When it's something that could bring you down? When it's something that can cost you everything? And it's something I think about all the time. Like, if I ever, y'all, reach a certain level of success, am I going to get a little bit brand new? A little bit. Just a little bit. You have people that you want to bring with you. In my mind, I've always felt like if anything amazing ever happened to me, there's people that I want to bring with me. I want to drop certain names in the room. But what you also learn, as Adonis did, is that when you try to help people, they can sabotage you. Folks that have nothing to lose, people that have nothing to lose can cost you everything, which is why you actually do have to be mindful with your circles. Even if it's somebody that you know way back when. You don't know where their mind is at. You don't know where their value system is. And folks will help you lose everything and go about their business. Sometimes people feel good in helping you lose everything because now they feel like they knocked you down a peg or two. So yes, it is very important to reevaluate circles when you get to a certain place. Yeah. And of course, I have to add the element of black men and feelings and not communicating what's wrong. As his wife is not privy to all of this information from his past, it's coming up and she's asking questions and he's just not wanting to discuss it at all. And how our outlet is usually overworking. It's usually putting 1,000% into our crafts. How many people, and I'm pretty sure some of you can relate or someone that can relate, people tend to cover up trauma with really hard work. If it's not a substance, we know that part, but a lot of people God, I don't think I want to call it overcompensation, but sometimes the best way for people to forget the traumas of their childhood and the wrongdoings is to become successful, as if it washes those sins away or it makes life better. It doesn't. Some things will still haunt you if you don't talk to somebody about it. And that's why therapy is important. You have to be able to process those feelings because they're always going to come back around. It is. I had a situation recently where a couple of friends, a couple that I hooked up, I hadn't talked to them in years. One in particular, well over a decade. And I got a random phone call. It was some drama. Short version, it was some drama I didn't ask for that fell on my doorstep. But once it was cleared and I shut that down and, removed myself from it, it brought up some things from those earlier years about my friendships and misunderstandings and how people that you thought you would be close with, sometimes you typically are not meant to go on the same path. And sometimes years down the road, you find out why. That situation was a hot mess, but back then it didn't look that way. That one looked perfect, and I looked to be the problem. So, yeah, but for me, it was me revisiting expectations in my friendships, how I handle conflict within my friendships, when to resolve something, and then to recognize, you know what, this is a lost cause. The situation isn't for me. I don't need this in my life. It triggered how I deal with situations with people. Because my biggest thing is cutting people off. I think for the rest of my life, that will be something that I have to work on. So again, tests that you need to pass will always present themselves. That could be the test of letting the wrong energies in, knowing when to entertain something, knowing when to cut it off, and knowing when to understand I don't owe you an opportunity. Like that with Adonis and Damien. So in this story, obviously Damien is considered the villain, but when I look at it, the villain is whoever failed those children. The villain is us not having resources in our community, like mental health resources, kids having some sort of treatment when they leave boys' homes or girls' homes. That's what it is. So you can't forget where you come from. And you also got to understand that your path was your path and nobody owes you anything. Oh, and while we're at it, and also can we talk jealousy for a minute since we're talking about childhoods? Y'all really clown pulling up throwback pictures of Jonathan Majors and using it as a way to fire shots at him. And for the women that find him attractive, I think that man is delicious, absolutely scrumptious. But we really got to deal with issues of jealousy, y'all. It's okay to let somebody have their shine. And for y'all that's dropping these photos of this man saying that back when he was smaller or years ago, you women would have never gave him a shot. Let's be clear. There are skinny, funny-looking men that get love every day. There are men with jacked up hairlines that get love and can pull, and they do so every single day. Just because you ain't got your game down, and really you're just not a likable person. Because every single type of man there is can pull or has pulled. I've seen homeless folks in love. Should she want to shoot for the stars and go find better for herself? No, she stayed in her lane. But every type of man there is can pull. He ain't got to be rich. There is plenty of Jodys in this world that don't even look like Tyrese that pull women every day. I think it's high time for some of y'all to admit you have the personality of a Popeye's biscuit. You are not that nice. You're the least interesting person to look at. But stop hating on other men that got their glow up. You can get yours too. Just go work on yourself. But that ain't cute. In fact, it's sassy. It's giving suspect when y'all do that. Stop hating on other successful, beautiful, scrumptious black men doing their thing and just work on yourself. Or you don't have to work on yourself. Just date within your weight class. But quit throwing shade. But again, I think that goes back to folks' childhood. Somebody that maybe looked like Jonathan Majors in the before picture, never had his glow up. He ain't pulling nobody, so you mad. We all really got to tap in with our inner children because it is messing with us as adults. You either hating. Never mind, I ain't going to do it to y'all. That is your issue to work out. We've been talking about mental health for a long time. If y'all still haven't looked into mental health resources, that is on you. Speaking of childhood and rejection, Chris Rock. Y'all knew we was going to have to come back to this. So Chris Rock, a year after the slap that was heard across the world, he dropped his comedy special, conveniently titled Selective Outrage, proving to us that slap didn't make him funnier. The slap didn't make Chris any funnier. For one, I'm glad he finally got to speak his piece in the way that he did. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to say this. I'm glad for the opportunity for him to now move forward because we hope that's what it's going to do, right? He's made a few petty jabs. Here's my problem. Everything feels a little less Will and a little bit more hyper focused on Jada. I'm just going to go ahead and do this. This shit is getting old. It is getting so freaking old. And I said this the other day, and that, in my opinion, took on a life of its own. So I had to bring it here. I said that you cannot convince me that Chris Rock did not get rejected by Jada earlier in their career. You can't. And I say this because prior to the Oscar slap and his comments, he came for her when she boycotted the Oscars, okay? He literally talked down and tried to list her career, you know, alluding to her not even being invited. So number one, that was foul. But let's take it back. Let's take it all the way back. Jada Pinkett spoke at the Million Women's March. He has some slick things to say about that as well. Do y'all know what year the Million Women's March was? 1997. There is no reason to go after anybody's activism, especially a black woman doing her thing. And I mean, she was out there preaching. She was speaking a word. So for that reason, you cannot tell me that that man did not get turned down by her at some point, and he has made it his personal mission to do his thing whenever the opportunity arises. He's more angry at her than he is at Will. There is no way I'm going to get slapped in front of that many people, or, you know, in my case, I'm a little dog, you know, 50 people, and I'm not getting my lick back right there on site and come back and attack the person next to you. The only thing that woman did wrong that night, I said this already, is roll her eyes and not laugh at your joke. And for that, you referring to her a bitch in your special. Not at this point, you just flat out disrespectful. And there were folks that said, well, you know, other people talked about Jada too. Nobody has disrespected Jada in Will's face. So forget selective outrage. Y'all got selective memory. Now, if you the type of person to let somebody disrespect yours in your face, all right, and you make excuses for it, cool, that's on you. But men like Chris Rock, they're on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook every day. Some of them decided to start podcasts. I ain't gonna go back down that road. I already said what I had to say. But y'all get a kick. You get your rocks off trying to humble the it girl. And I brought that up too, that first of all, we're not gonna act like Jada Pinkett ain't Jada Pinkett. We're not gonna act like this ain't Inkwell Jada Pinkett. Different world Jada Pinkett? Jason's lyric Jada Pinkett? Stop that. That woman been fine. Fine. She had the 90s on lock. She was one of the it girls. So to believe that somebody like Chris Rock didn't shoot his shot. So far he tried being flirtatious with Rihanna. It didn't work. He even says she looked at him like he was an uncle or granddaddy or something. He even tried to shoot his shot at Meg Thee Stallion. He goes for the hotties. So you ain't no way. I don't care what nobody say. He is getting a kick out of trying to humble her. He is keeping her name in his mouth because he couldn't get something else in it. I don't care what nobody says. He needs to heal. That man got a nice payday out of this special. Cool. Take that money, sit with your thoughts and your feelings, figure out why it is you think it's okay to throw us under the bus in front of white people, which his odd mic drop saying that he didn't, you know, after the slap, he didn't respond the way he did because his mother taught him not to fight in front of white people. Okay, so she taught you it was okay to talk crazy about us as a community in front of white people. Got it. She taught you it was okay to talk down on black women and their careers in front of white people. Got it. Oh, so she taught you it was okay to do everything in front of white people but get checked for your clownery. Bravo, Mama Rock. Bravo. Don't bring your mama into this. You've been clowning your entire career. Ain't no way she told you all that other stuff was okay. And before anybody calls me a Chris Rock hater, number one, I've watched like every special. You see what I'm saying? But what y'all also know is I love black women. And what you also know about me is there is calling somebody into accountability and there's just flat out bullying. We've been long past whatever accountability y'all think Jada Pinkett needs. That woman is a grown woman. that has her own platform where she talks about her marriage, where her and her husband, their arrangement that they've agreed to. I think a lot of y'all are just mad that you can't get away with the things that Will and Jada do in their union, and it bothers you. I would see dudes make comments about this, and yeah, that so and so, she this, that, and the third, she making them look bad. I go to your page and you complaining about not being able to see your son, or y'all complaining about what these women out here want, or what we need to be doing, or what we doing wrong, or BBLs and all of this stuff. You have no room. You have no room. If you're going to judge what those grown folks do, you better be able to show some receipts of something healthy you have in your life. And most of y'all can't. You can't. Y'all are irritated that this woman has been allowed to operate the way she chooses to, and still have her husband by her side, and still have him slap the piss out of somebody that tries to get cute about her in front of him. That just makes y'all livid, and I guess I get it. Because in your world, you could never. In your world, you could never. I get it. That would make me mad, too. If I saw a woman living in the open marriage I could never have. I can't even have an open relationship. I just got to cheat. And then this woman is talking about it, and she didn't get slapped. Tell us what y'all really mad about. So that's all I got for y'all today. We really have to start. We got to tap in with our inner child, because our inner child dictates so much of what we do and how we operate, what we allow, what we're upset about. Whether it's art imitating life, like Adonis and Damien, or whether it's Chris Rock still being upset about the morsel of cat that Jada never gave him. Our inner child dictates so much of how we operate. You got to tap in with them and get it together. We just do. Get it together, please. So thank you for tuning in again. We're in this thingy thing where we're not quite healthy yet. We healthy. We don't know what we're doing for real. So where applicable, wear your mask, wash your hands, socially distance. And when you get a free moment, please remember to clean out your dirty bag. Till next time.
Well, darling, there's only one God.